Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
It's too easy. It's too easy. Just another day as this team destroys the Pittsburgh Steelers. 35-13. They just roll. Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown have a damn day. I can't believe Tennessee thought, you know what? He's not worth it. You know what? I don't want him on my team. You know what? He's not worth the dollars. In what world, you dumbass? It's just that simple. How could you be so stupid to let a talent like A.J. Brown leave your facility? It's a joke, and I'm so glad that Howie Roseman knows how to pounce because holy hell is this dude special. The first touchdown, Jalen Hurts just throws it up and says, yo, dude, go make a play. Then you get a mixture between the second and the third touchdown. It's just dots. Jalen Hurts with dimes right on the money. A.J. Brown secures it. He's got to make a tough catch too, but that was a little bit more with Jalen Hurts, the second and the third on top of the amazing catch. And then he just starts pointing away like, how many defenders will it take? It's so damn funny because this dude is special and the offense was flying high. You thought for 1 second after the Eagles scored to take the lead, Brandon Graham had that penalty, which the Steelers were going to settle for 3. Instead, they throw out the trickery. They score a touchdown at 7-7. Remember that actually happened? It was such a blowout. The game got boring as hell. I was scrolling on TikTok the entire fourth quarter because it was basically irrelevant, and I was just waiting for the time to run off the damn clock. That's how much of a beatdown this was. And just because of the percentages, let me be very clear here, it really is just because I know how difficult it is to not lose a football game and go throughout the regular season with a big old goose egg in that loss column. I'm trying to walk through the schedule and look for that loss, and I go, okay, Mike Tomlin, even though the Eagles have extra time because it's off of a bye, Mike Tomlin is a hard-nosed guy, even though they don't have a lot of talent on their team, and they're starting Kenny Pickett, who maybe becomes something in this league, but he's very raw, and he's not very mature and polished at the NFL level yet. I'm almost convincing myself that at some point they're going to fall asleep, right? At some point, it's just going to be their Sunday where everything doesn't roll the way they would want it to, right? So I'm like almost pretending and lying to myself that one of these, Mike Tomlin, maybe the Steelers can, maybe something happened. I'm an idiot. That's what's happening. I'm an idiot because this team, week in and week out, just does what they're supposed to do. I don't care that they didn't get the run game going. They didn't have to because they could pick apart the defense with the arm. And there you go. How about that? I don't think a lot of people thought you could be saying that when you were watching Jalen Hurts play last year, that you could pick apart a team with the arm. But that's what happens when you have playmakers. That's what happens when you have guys like Dallas Goedert who can make a one-handed grab. And what do you know? It's a big-time catch, and that's a very difficult thing to do. But when you have studs, this is the way the offense looks. I thought that there were some crucial plays that happened prior to the touchdowns. One was on a 4th and 2 to Dallas Goedert, which they got, and the other was a 3rd and 1. I just really love the play design as Dallas Goedert slips off to the left side of the field, and they throw it there, and they got a big first down at a crucial time to keep the drive extended, and then from there, they cash in and punch it in for 6. You kind of laugh at the fact that they weren't even running plays in the red zone, yet they were putting up a ton of points on the scoreboard. This is just a classic screw you, you suck, and we're going to let you know that you blow, and that's exactly what happened. The team just took control, and it was a wire-to-wire, basically, after that 7-7, I guess. It wasn't still wire-to-wire, all right? I'm just saying, it was still wire-to-wire. You just saw a team say, yeah, you're cute. Watch what a real team does. They don't lose. There was a loss, though, in this game, and that was an individual going down. Jordan Davis, walking boot, crutches, got carted off, even though he did gingerly walk off to the sidelines. You saw him go on the cart, and it doesn't look good, which is a big-time loss for this team because he's a monster, and he can swallow up running backs nonstop and eat up a lot of space in the middle there of the defensive line. So something to monitor. We've already seen Howie Roseman. I haven't really even gotten the time to discuss it because there's so much going on. It's been an action-packed week between the Sixers and the Flyers getting going, the Phillies making their World Series run. I didn't even get a chance to really break down going after Robert Quinn for Howie Roseman, and it's just a beautiful move. It's like they just keep adding. They just keep going, and I wouldn't be surprised if Howie is still on the prowl at any position, really. You keep hearing running back and all this stuff. Don't be fooled with everything on Twitter, by the way. I brought this up to Dave Zungara, who covers the team for NBC Sports Philadelphia, and he said don't be surprised if they're looking around. So just something, we're keeping our eye on. But Jordan Davis is a big loss, but they keep making additions. The defensive front, not that there's a correlation because he did that prior to seeing this injury, and it's not exactly the same anyway. But, yeah, I think you get my point here. I'm excited to see what Robert Quinn can become with the Javon Hargrave, with the Fletcher Cox. Javon with a day, no? He gets the strip sack, and then Avonte Maddox picks it up on the fumble recovery. At the end of the first half, he had a monster sack. Awesome. Hassan Reddick in the beginning of the game brings the intensity and smacks Kenny Pickett in the face nice and early. Let him know it's going to be a long day, dude. Strap up because you're about to get hit. And if he didn't get hit, it's an interception as TJ Edwards gets a hand on it, and then CJ Gardner-Johnson picks it off. But CJ Gardner-Johnson with the blitz, Kenny Pickett had nowhere to go. Good luck. Good luck. You're going to be going back to the sidelines, and instead of looking at the iPad because you want to learn, instead of looking at the iPad to see what went wrong and the coverage and this and that, you're going to be begging that the time moves quicker. You're going to be begging that they hand the ball off. Please get the run game established, Eagles. Please start milking the clock, damn it, because I don't want to get my brain clocked more and more. That's what I'd be saying if I was Kenny Pickett. Just saying. Just saying. A.J. Brown is cold, man. He's cold. Special teams at times still bothers me, but there's so much greatness going on that I can't be actually angry about it. The fake punt again. Oof. You got, who was it, Zach McPherson, who went down there and stopped the ball at the 1 yard line, which was nice. But we know their special teams is a weak spot for them. At the end of the day, I'm not going to waste time on that right now. You don't lose football games, okay? Things you got to clean up in that department, but overall, you see the way this team is clicking, and they're not even satisfied. They shouldn't be, but some teams say that. I've mentioned this before. A lot of teams say things to the media. A lot of teams say things to themselves. You could say things within the locker room, but you know deep down you don't mean it. I'm sure you've been in a locker room before, no matter what sport you played, and some guys say something after a game, or some guys say something during intermission. I played hockey, so first period's over, the Zambonis on the ice, you're sitting there taking off your top half, you take off your elbow pads and whatnot, take off your jersey, you're relaxing a bit to recover, and they start talking and try to motivate you or say things about the first. You're like, shut up, dude. Shut up. I don't want to hear it. Even if you are a damn good team. You're 13-3. I'm talking hockey still, because that's just the way I envision it when I close my eyes. You're 13-3 in your first 16 games of the season. They're yapping away. Well, the first, we got it, right? But with this team, it's different. With this team, Hurts is like, yeah, I left some stuff out on the field. You could say I was locked in. You could say I was in my bag in the first half. But I thought at times maybe I got sacked. I shouldn't have got sacked. We're not satisfied. But when they say it, they mean it. And each week, they've already showed you that. We've been through plenty of games now where it's on the record. It's nonstop. It's always adding. It's always improving. It's always working on the details. Even if you have a stellar game where there's not that much that has to be revisited. Doesn't matter. Even if it's one thing that needs to be revisited, we're doing it until it's exactly the way we want to, while still improving in areas that we are damn good at. And that's the difference in a team that can do the whole thing and the team that's going to be winning as the playoffs come around, and the teams where their deficiencies end up biting them in the ass because they didn't have enough to get it done there, because they didn't put the time in there, because over the weeks they continued to watch it hurt them and hurt them and hurt them while being good in other areas, thinking, well, as long as we're sharp here, okay, let's see, as long as we're sharp here. And you can be fooled by this very easily. Like I said, you can say all the right things. The difference is with Kelsey, with Lane, they won't allow you to not buy in. You're forced to buy in because of the leadership. And a lot of it, too, does stem from Hurts. It's part of his DNA. It's part of his personality. I give a lot of credit to the offensive line and the guys that have been there for a long period of time. But it's also because your leader in the biggest position in sports, which is Jalen Hurts, he means it just as much as all those fellas. And it's hard to match that intensity. There's reasons why Lane Johnson doesn't get beat. There's reasons why at this age, with that body structure and with the amount of time the guy, he's played this well and this long, and Kelsey getting to the second level, putting guys on their asses nonstop, wired differently. It's hard, very, very, very hard to find people with the brain power they have, with the mental makeup they have. You can't find that and force someone to have it. You either do or you don't. Hurts, A.J., Miles, Pascal, the guy who's just there. Mr., I guess, I think it sounds a little aggressive when you say Mr. Reliable, but I say Mr. Reliable in regards to if he's open, you could play pitch and catch with him without having to worry. There's no fear that Pascal is going to screw it up, that he can't make the simplistic plays. He absolutely 1,000% can. So from that level, I go, Mr. Reliable. Sanders punches it in for 6. All-around team game. It's weird because there's not much to bitch about. First off, the city really hasn't had Eagles buzz for a little bit of time because of the bye. And what do you know? As soon as you get Eagles football back, they play again on Thursday on a short week. So they're already preparing their bodies for it to recover. And they're going to go play another horrendous football team. Here we go again, right? Because before the season even began, I didn't know they'd be 7-0 at this point, right? But you look through the schedule and say, if there were going to be losses, where would they be? Not that Houston's good. It's more about the theory of you're on a short week, you're going on the road, you just played a Mike Tomlin-led team. At the time, you didn't know who the Pittsburgh Steelers were. And it turns out that Mike Tomlin might have a losing season, which is a weird sentence to say. But you talk yourself through. I mean, technically, not that you would want to, but it's just how the game goes. Sometimes the teams fall flat on the face. I'm not doing that again. Okay, not this time around. Because I believe and trust in the way that they handle business and the way that they go to work week in and week out. One thing you always study when you talk about a new football staff and a new team is what do they look like after the bye. We were very spoiled with the Andy Reid side of things, and you just know that Andy Reid is a genius. What is the Nick Sirianni experience like after a bye? Well, if it's any indication, what we just saw, I think we're in good hands. I do have to laugh at Nick here before we go to the phones. I love Nick Sirianni from a football level, okay? Everything on the field, everything about who he is on the sidelines when things happen that he doesn't like. He's screaming F-bombs across the way. He's looking at the referees, and he's running his mouth in their ears, running up and down the sidelines. When good plays happen, his defense makes a play, gets a big stop on 4th down. He's jumping up and down like a lot of the fans are in the stands, and the people who are watching at home with family going nuts with their Lay's chips on the table. No idea why I just threw that in in there with the story, but I'm sure a lot of people do have their chips out, their pretzels out, buffalo chicken dip, you name it. That's how Nick Sirianni is on the sideline. It's awesome. I love that side of him. One part I could live without, and this is me being an absolute jerk-off, and I'm clearly admitting that, after the game, anything family related, and I'm not saying that in a mean way. I care about Nick Sirianni's family, but every time he talked in the past, like, well, my brother, his team, I don't care about your brother's team. All right, with all due respect, I don't care about it. If he was such a genius with the football, why is he not on the staff helping you dial up some play? I don't care what this team has to do about what your brother's football team does. There's just no relation for me as a fan trying to get information on what the football team did that you liked or didn't do that you weren't happy about. Whatever it is, I could do without the hunky-dory stories about how your family in Pittsburgh on the field, Christmas cards. That's Sirianni. I get it, right? I told you, I'm being an absolute ass. I know. But when he goes and rambles, I'm trying to get information, right? I want to hear about the game. I don't care about your family in Steelers outfits that are on the sideline saying hi to you and Chris. I don't care who gets your Christmas cards. I just don't care. I don't care. But that's Sirianni, and they love the guy. And there is something to be said about communication, not so much communication, but relationships. We're watching it with this baseball team. Rob Thompson has created a family in that clubhouse, especially based off of what was there before. Now, Doug Peterson did the same thing. I don't think he's a very sharp football mind. I think he's an outstanding people person, and that's a big part of the job. So I give Nick Sirianni a ton of credit there, and I think this goofiness that he plays and allowing these players to be themselves with the celebrations of folding the arms and all three of them are staring at the camera, there's a swagger about them that he lets them be that way, and then that instills just who they are, their personality out on the field, which then relates to them having this cockiness and arrogance about them that teams are afraid to play. And I think that pretty much shows every single week when they're crushing squads. I could do without some of the corniness. That's all. That's the Broads. The Broads, what do you want to call it? Bitch of the day? I don't know. 6 receptions, 156 yards. I thought he was going to get that fourth, man. I really did. All right, we'll kick in a couple calls. Start it off.
What's going on, bro? It's a pretty dominant game from the Eagles today. I think today was by far the best game they've played all season. It was actually a complete game. Scored a touchdown in every quarter. Jalen Hurts, 4 passing touchdowns, so people can't say that he can't pass. A.J. Brown's a beast. Good go on Thursday against another bad team.
Another bad team, yes, but that's what you're supposed to do. Beat bad teams, beat what's in front of you. And it's not the Eagles' fault that the league stinks, okay? There's no denying that there's not that many strong teams this year, but there's 2 things that can happen when that's the case, and it's obvious. You can either be a part of that and be more in the pack, and you could be more of the teams that are struggling, but were supposed to be better when the season began, and there was a higher ceiling, and they just couldn't live up to those expectations. You could be that. Or you could be the underachieving team, or you could be the team that everyone makes fun of that said, well, they just beat the bad teams and you don't really believe in them. Okay, be that. I'll take that any day of the week. You're beating the teams you're supposed to beat ahead of you. All you can control is that. So I don't want to hear it from the national side of things. Although, who knows, maybe things change because of this week. Because throughout the, 6 games or so, there was a lot of that. With them putting up 35, turning the ball over. The way this defense turns you over and puts the offense in great field positions, it's amazing. And they attack you. Credit to Jonathan Gannon because he has really turned this thing around. He's used this personnel significantly different than that slop he played against the Lions where he was getting torched after a big lead. They're getting in the grill, and they're exposing offenses. They're getting hands in lanes. How many times have we seen a deflected ball and then one of your corners pick it off? If not, you're getting to the quarterback and getting a strip sack or forcing a fumble. There's so many layers to this D. It's mean. It's in your face. And it's hard. It's hard to wrap your head around it to try and counter it because there's so many layers. You do have a special, and I'm going to say special, cornerback display from your slot to your two outside corners. And by the way, when they're locking down, what's that mean for your defensive front? And vice versa. Think about this. There's not many times those corners don't do their job, but I'm just saying, if it's not your corners locking down, giving more time to the defensive front, sometimes your defensive front just wins and barrels through and pushes back an offensive lineman 5 feet, drives them back, and then rushes your quarterback out of the pocket before tripping him up. So even if there is a receiver that has a bit of separation and a bit of time, well, maybe that's when your front gets home. Maybe that's when Hargrave is succeeding, or that's when BG is in your face. It's hard. They did play a pretty damn good complete game. Special teams, still up in the air. But yeah, a lot different. I don't worry about, well, they didn't score in this quarter and that quarter. I'm talking about from the general topics. You know why that's happening? Because they're doing so well, and they have such a big lead that they're playing a different style of game at that time that doesn't make you happy. Are they not so much better? Seriously, let's look at this. Okay? Let's look at this. The Lions score got closer than it should have, but all around, when you watch that game week 1, there were times where you're like, okay, this team is by far better than the Lions. The Vikings scored 7 points at home on Monday Night Football. You won 24-7. The Commanders, you won 24-8. The Jags, 29-21. You fell behind. You had a pick 6 happen. You were down 14-0. And then what did you do? That's cute, Doug. Watch what we can do. So they win 29-21. They go on the road and beat the Cardinals. And then before the bye, they beat the Cowboys at home. And now they did this. What is there to complain about at all throughout these games? I think we always, sort of like how I'm like searching for a loss in the schedule, just because I know when you think about the history of the NFL before they went to the 17th game, the 16 games, how many teams do it? It is that rare. So I convinced myself, well, there's got to be a loss somewhere. I don't even know if there is. I think some fans, and maybe it's starting to shift into a new layer or a new level, but I think to this point, we're always reaching. Week 1, it was fair because it was the only game we had. So at that point, to be mad again and to be mad that happened, that's fine. I think there's actually value in that. Now we have so much more of a schedule completed, and we see 7 games, and we see other teams, and we recognize, well, hold on a second. Now we can start applying the information we have on this team compared to everything else that we're witnessing on these Sundays, and it's not even close. It's not even close. Buffalo is, but if we're in the conversation of Buffalo, guess what? My feet are up, and I'm relaxing, and I'm waiting for the important time of the year. Without just letting this fly by, I want to enjoy this. But I'm just saying, with the grand picture, come on now. What's next?
Bros! Fly, Eagles, fly, bros! Undefeated. Why not? Why not just keep ringing them up? And Jalen Hurts is definitely the future. Let's just go ahead, lock this kid in. Because honestly, if you really think about it, can you really name me 4 other QBs that are better than Jalen Hurts? No way. There ain't no way, bros. What a great time to be a Philadelphia fan.
It is a great time. One of the best times that I could ever remember. They're going to lock him up when they can. There's no debate. There's no argument. They're locking up Jalen Hurts. Can I name better quarterbacks? What did he say? 4 quarterbacks? I don't know why 4 is popping into my head. This is what I'm going to say. And this is to know, I don't want to damper anything. So I don't even know if I want to go here. But we thought the same thing about Wentz. I'm not telling you that Hurts is turning into Wentz. They clearly have different mental makeups. I'm just saying, Justin Herbert. I'm just saying, is Justin Herbert healthy? He got hurt early in the year, this and that. Each year, everything's different. Last year, no one would have thought in any way, shape, or form that Jalen Hurts would be this lethal, this elite, this absurd, right? Every year is so different. I'm buying into Jalen Hurts right now. I think the dude is so mentally different than everybody else. I put all my stock into Jalen Hurts. I believe in Jalen Hurts. So I'm not trying to pretend like I don't or trying to put a damper on the day. I'm just saying that, like, we once said that about Wentz. We got our guy the next 12 years. He's been on how many teams since then? And he looks like he's going to be a backup quarterback before you know it. Aaron Rodgers and the offense this year doesn't look good, but you always talk about Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert. I'll stick with the younger guys because maybe that's a little bit more of a closer example and hits home a bit more than, let's say, someone who had one hell of a career and him and Tom Brady are just maybe falling off because Father Time always wins, and there's a lot of off-the-field stuff happening with both. Aaron Rodgers is losing his mind. Tom Brady's going through a very hectic divorce, so it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I'm ready to go with Jalen Hurts. I'm ready to sign him and say let this thing go. The Carson Wentz thing was such a wild disaster that even if we put ourselves back in time and commit to Carson Wentz with that contract, what happened was so rare that I would do it again. I would do it again because in what world would that collapse happen after having such an MVP season? I'm with you. I'm just saying. But anyway, I think that's enough of that. I don't want to waste my time. This isn't the time or the time to have that conversation at all. So that's why I said I didn't want to bring it up. We'll go to another call.
I am so glad that Howie Roseman in the offseason didn't listen to all these idiots saying, trade 3 first-round picks and Jalen Hurts for Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson. Well, let's take a look at those 3 guys. Deshaun Watson, deservedly suspended for 11 games. Aaron Rodgers looks washed. And Russell Wilson looks like one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. And meanwhile, Jalen Hurts, with his best friend A.J. Brown by his side, looks like a bona fide, legit top 3 MVP candidate on the 7-0 Eagles.
I'm happy he didn't do it either. I was definitely one that said, look, if you went with Russell Wilson, how could I be mad that you had? Now, I think the Eagles are a way better ran organization than what the Denver Broncos are. So if you're in this position playing here with people who know the sport of football, with the coaching staff like that, I don't know if it necessarily plays out the same exact way, although maybe you had different talent because of the compensation it takes to get him. You know, Howie Roseman did. Once again, if you go back to last year, there's no way you would have, other than if you're just a big fanboy and you say that you believe in Hurts, there's no real substance to thinking that he was going to look this much different this season. I'm in shock that it was this. This is absurd. So to say, I'm so glad Howie Roseman didn't go get a proven quarterback because Jalen Hurts is, no one knew this was going to happen. No one knew this was going to happen. But I don't like this conversation. I'm going to be honest. I don't like the way this is going. It puts a negative light on the team and the negative light on the Hurts thing for me that I don't really enjoy. So I don't want to do that. I'm here to enjoy. I'm here to embrace. I'm here to say I love Jalen Hurts. I can't wait to watch the kid blossom. I'm so enamored with the throws that he's making to A.J. Brown. Trust in his guy. Doesn't matter how many defenders are in that direction. You're going to make a play for me. And by the way, where I'm putting the football is going to be so ridiculous in a window that only you can make the play. And both times for those touchdown passes, that's what happened. You trust your guys, and you need to be able to do that as a quarterback at times. Sometimes you got to toss it up and say, here it is. I know what the coverage is, and I believe in you. And you saw that. All right, we'll take one more. Wrap it up after.
Eagles by far, not only the most dominant team in Pennsylvania, but the most dominant team in the NFL. But one thing I got to be real on, Sheets is still better than Wawa.
Yeah, I don't care about Sheets in that debate. They never really tickled my fancy. To be fair, I had Sheets one time, like 8 years ago, and Wawa doesn't even have the same life as it once did years ago. Am I going to be the typical person that talks about the bread? I don't know. I love Wawa. I go basically every day, get my cup of coffee. I'll get sandwiches there. I love it. I don't really care about the Sheets Wawa thing, though. We're all going to say Wawa. They're all going to say Sheets, and then we move on with our lives. They looked at the Steelers and said, you're a joke. You're a joke. And crushed their souls. That's what I saw out there. All right, everyone, I love you. You're the best. Thank you for kicking it with me. We'll be talking about the Eagles pretty soon here. It's a short week. We have the Phillies. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you, guys. I'll catch you on the next one.